around. I got a story to tell. Somebody cue Still Dre, because it's going to get gangsta tonight. I'm serious, though. I'm serious. First of all, the first thing I want to say is that if you have booked a retreat or you're planning on booking a retreat, nothing I'm going to tell you in this story affects that at all. There's not like, serious bad blood with the property owner or any kind of thing like that. This is nothing like that. It's just about who I want to support and who I don't want to support. And as you guys know, part of my mission for coming here to the jungle is not only to try to incentivize people to protect the jungle, but also to bring money into these communities where it's desperately needed. And the property owner here basically, after casually insulting my family and I like it was nothing, tried to insist that we participate in the exploitation economy here and pay the workers on the property less than the federally mandated minimum wage here. And not just a little bit, $125 or 25% less than the legal minimum wage. And I'm not trying to be malicious. I'm not suggesting that she's like an evil person, because unfortunately, you guys, this is normal here. I'm not trying to, I try to be politically neutral, and I'm not trying to, do that whole like white privilege thing, blaming and all that narrative. I'm trying to avoid even talking about that sort of stuff. But this is definitely an example of where, people seem to be entitled to just exploit people because they're white or European or Canadian or whatever the case may be. So it's been an amazing week. First, I want to talk a little bit about that. The other day, I don't think I've streamed since then. There's an island here. We walked out onto the island and we were looking for the squirrel monkeys, and right away there's the squirrel monkeys. So got some great pictures and video of the squirrel monkeys from right in there. I mean, they're right in our faces. It was amazing. And then we're walking onto the island, and I've been to the island 3 times, and there's tapirs there, which if you're not familiar, are these like gigantic rhino horse things. It kind of looks more like an elephant pig. And I said, I hope we get to see one today. And no sooner had the words escaped my lips, this tapir comes walking out of the jungle straight up to my son. And for a second, I was like, yikes, it's going to eat him. But it was totally chill. It's not tame. This is not a pet. It was a wild tapir. But I'll post some videos of Austin, who is our current guest. It took his hand in its mouth for a second. He didn't have food. We weren't feeding the wild animals. None of that. It just came right up to us. So that was incredible. And then the day before yesterday, I'll post this video as well. Austin's given me permission to use his name and videos, so we're good. Don't worry, you guys. If you come and you don't want me to do that, I'll ask you first. But so we were at the park the day before yesterday, and there's this monkey superstition, right? That's the only explanation I can come up with for this. They will break onions and they rub them on their fur so that the bugs stay away. And that's not superstitious, right? But they will only do it in the lap of a human person. Like, they get it like without fail. They won't even bother to do it if there's no human lap for them to sit in. So I give him an onion and he sits down, and Lighter Monkey, who is the viral TikTok sensation that I made famous last year for lighting the lighter and burning his fur and eating it, that monkey jumps in his lap. And then another monkey, and another monkey, and another monkey, and another monkey, and another monkey. So by the time he was full of monkeys, there were 7 monkeys, just this writhing mass, rubbing onions all over themselves, peeing all over him. But he had 7 capuchin monkeys suddenly in his lap going nuts. And then we took earlier, we had just come actually from a lagoon where there's an anaconda. We didn't see that, but it is there. And we saw a caiman and marmoset monkeys. I mean, every day is just amazing. And so, the vibes are still good and everything. But yeah, we have to talk about this landowner because this is not okay. And I have to tell you a little bit more of the story to put it into context, like where this all came from. And I don't really like doing it because I feel like I'm sort of airing dirty laundry. But at the same time, I feel like this is a community project. We are all a family, and I just have to tell you guys about this. So, um, a few weeks ago, I started to notice that there were some things about the person that we're renting from that were a little off. Some manipulations, and then those manipulations became like actual stories that were obviously intended to shape my perception that had no reality. And, I'm ex military, I was a satellite engineer. And part of I did leave boot camp almost right away, but I did have some body language training. So trying to manipulate me is you're just going to end up looking like a person with oversized clown shoes trying to dance on a bunch of banana peels. It's just not going to happen. Um, but she was trying anyways, and so I started to get kind of irritated, and it came out. And so she came down here and asked me for kindness, and then sat down and said, I'm kind of concerned to leave because I can tell you and your family are not smart enough to screw in a light bulb. It's like, did you really just say that to me, lady? You literally just called me and my entire family idiots. Like, I had just handed her money. As soon as she got the money, and you're an idiot, I was like, what the fuck? And then she said, I'm really just trying to get you guys to shut the fuck up because we had a septic issue. The rooms all smelled like septic. I stopped taking deposits on the retreats because I was worried it wouldn't be fixed. It is fixed. Everything's fine. But it took like 30 days of putting all of our business on pause and everything. I've been pretty reasonable about it. Okay. So that's how this kind of bubbled up, right? Um, and also, I had to build a building for the ceremonies out in the jungle, and we had a bunch of Kichwa guys doing that for us. It's their traditional way of building this thatch that you see here above me. It's that they've been doing this in the jungle for 5,000 years, and the problem is that as soon as she was done with the parts, because this is all cut from her land, so I was paying for the materials to her. Um, she just stopped. So there was no drainage at all, like just a big puddle under the roof. The whole point was to have a dry, you know what I mean? As soon as there's no money in it for her, she's gone. Um, so, I was kind of talking about that. Like, what are we going to have to do now? How much is it going to cost in addition to I'm already over budget, what's going on? And so we came to the conclusion that I was going to work directly with the workers. She panicked when she realized that not only am I learning to speak Quechua, um, at least I intend to. I mean, I only know a couple of sentences at this point, but I let her know that that's happening. Um, as soon as she realized I would be speaking directly to the workers, she came back. Austin and I are sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, you can't pay them more than $15 a day because if you do, they'll start to expect it, and then every time they're going to have their hands out." And I almost said, they're going to expect to be paid a decent wage. Like, you guys, Ecuador is the most expensive country in South America. It does have the highest minimum wage. And guess what that minimum wage law dictates? $20 a day. $20 a day. So luckily, I also had started recording this woman when I noticed the manipulations and the lies and the insults and stuff started coming. I started recording her because I knew, we might end up having to sue this woman. Um, so, last resort, but I mean, Jesus. And so, um, let's just like think about this from the point of view of me as a professional. I'm using that word very loosely because I consider myself very casual and I don't like to commercialize things and I don't want to have a website even. You know what I mean? Um, I don't want to participate, but I realize that I forget about professional, just your ethics, just your sense of being a decent, honest person, right? So when I've spoken about this retreat, right, like part of it is that I'm trying to bring money into these indigenous communities that are struggling. Austin is an investor, and it's clear that we've become friends and we have a good rapport and all that for people that have only known each other for a few weeks. But let's just assume that wasn't the case, that he's just evaluating me. And he comes here to this retreat that I've been pitching as, part of our mission is to alleviate the economic burden of the exploited people here. And here's the landowner I'm renting from insisting that we pay the workers here below the minimum wage, because if we don't, they will not be able to exploit them anymore. And, I don't want to be too direct about this, but let's just say that if you have residual income on the level of a Canadian or someone from the United States, and you can't afford to pay people $20 a day when they work, yeah, seriously, you have failed. And that's actually what Austin said, that, you could still, by our standards, exploit these people terribly and still make their day by paying them twice their wage, which is what I fully intended to do. And so now, it's an unexpected expense. And of course, she was trying to milk me for every penny she could building this building. So it went way over budget, and then when there's no more material money to be made off of it, she just abandoned it and handed me a shovel, and like, here's some tools, sorry it didn't get done. See you later. Like, lady, are you serious? But yeah, I mean, she basically, and there was definitely an implication that it would be like a violation of, there would be like a problem. I can't say a threat, but she definitely seemed to be implying that it would be problematic if I were to pay them the legal minimum wage for their labor in the hot jungle, moving, mud that is soaked in rainwater around. It's insane. So what I was saying is I'm going to have to track these guys down, figure out how much labor they put into that building, and pay them at least to bring their wage up to minimum wage. And that's not my intent here. My plan was to try to double the whatever wage people are expecting. So what I would like to do is pay them all at least $30 a day for whatever labor they did. So I'm at least going to make it that right, but she's really, there were a lot of hidden fees, let's say, like when we showed up after I'd started building the building, like, oh yeah, I'm going to also need some money for this. I'm going to, you know what I mean? You know how manipulators are. And so yeah, she just really taxed the shit out of us. And but the thing with the indigenous workers, that was the end of the line for me. I definitely blew up on her. It took me a while. Like, I walked all the way up to our building in the jungle thinking about it before I realized, wait a minute, did she really seriously just say that you and your family are too stupid to plug in a light bulb? Like, I can put a satellite in orbit, but I can't screw in a light bulb. Like, what is this woman thinking? Yeah. So personal insults with me though, but to exploit people doing labor for me when I'm here to fight against people that do that, man, I I'm pretty pissed off about that. So that's, part of this is that I wanted to jump on and ask you guys for support. What I would really like to do is relocate, because um, there's all kinds of beautiful lodges all over the place owned by indigenous people that would be thrilled to have someone paying the rent, that aren't going to try to force us to exploit their neighbors, because they failed at life and can't afford to pay people a decent wage. We don't have to have that, in our, you know what I mean? I don't want anyone in my orbit even that thinks like that, you know? And like I said, for those of you that are coming to the retreats and if you're planning on booking one, we're running out of room too, honestly. That's not like marketing it. You have a few chances left to come. And so far it's been amazing. If Austin can hear me, if he's watching, you can come over and tell people about your experience so far. I'd appreciate it. We can do it later though, whatever. But yeah, and it's especially with the wildlife, that exceeded my expectations. I mean, the tapir, for me to see a tapir as someone who had, grown up as like a poverty-ridden redneck kid, reading about these things and seeing them in nature specials and stuff, documentaries, to actually have one just like walk up to us, and it followed us around. It clearly wanted interaction. We had no food. We weren't feeding it. But literally, I said, I hope we see a tapir today. And it was like, you rang and walked right out of the bushes and right up to Austin. And, you guys will see the video. He's petting it. And it made this like horse gesture when it had had enough. And it actually occurred to me that it looked more like a rhino that was also a horse. But we were calling it an elephant pig, and then I came home and checked, and it actually is more closely related to horses and rhinoceroses than elephants and pigs. Um, what up, man? You forgot the G, though. You have to specify illumignati. It's a different thing. We're not officially, integrated with the Illuminati Lodge yet. So that's it, you guys. I mean, I'm basically. Right on, man. That's good to hear. I lived in California most of my adult life too, and I do miss it sometimes. But the Amazon really will give it a run for its money. I mean, it's so incredible here, and that's what I was saying about how this doesn't impact the retreats. She's not a problem. I just don't like it. I don't like that I'm paying her bills, and she's trying to pressure us to participate in this exploitation economy. And put yourself in my shoes. Here's an investor. Yeah, I speak some Spanish. I'm learning a little bit of Warani and Kichwa, tiny bit of Warani. But they invited us. They said, you want to learn. They actually invited my son to learn Warani, and that would make him, according to them, the only outsider that speaks any Warani at all, which is an honor. The Warani are actually the tribe that got me interested in the Amazon in the first place as a child. The story about killing the missionaries. We actually got some pictures of the plane that they were killed on. They put it up in Shell on the way. If I seem a little loopy, it's because I'm sick, and we had a little San Pedro this morning, by the way. So I'm exhausted, and I really wanted to reschedule this live stream because I'm not feeling well, but I just felt like it was so important. And like I said, I'm trying to rally support for us if possible, because I would really like to have the power. I mean, we're all right, but we sunk everything into the building, and then we got delayed, couldn't do any business here because of the problem with the septic tank until that got resolved. So she's kind of put a hurting on us, and we're fine, but I don't have the power to escape. And the thing is, I would have to rent an entire property. It's not like we're not just renting for us, we're renting for an entire retreat. So it's going to cost a lot if I want to move. So that's why I put that post out there. If your rich liberal philanthropist uncle wants to help us fight, we could definitely use a donation right now. I mean, we could get out of here for only really a few $1,000s or something if we needed to. So, but still, it's not like I can just do that. I don't know, Micah. If I could raise $7,500 like really, really quickly, that would be optimal, and then I would. And actually, what I'm planning on doing, there is a community across the river. The other side of the river is actually better. We have marmoset monkeys over here, but the other side of the river, they have like all of the monkeys still, all the different types, marmoset monkeys all over the place, howler, spider monkeys, capuchins, and a whole bunch of other, and an anaconda in the lagoon. And it's way more tranquil. There's lagoons everywhere. The giant paiche fish are kind of like pink river dolphins of the Amazon, except that they're big red. They're not dolphins, but they're up to, I think, 15 feet maximum. And the last time we went the other day, Austin and I, and it wouldn't let us pet them this time. The fish wouldn't, but it was only one. And last time there were three, and some of them actually would come up to the top and let you stroke their heads. So there are these giant, friendly lagoon fish, and then there are these birds that look just like the mythical phoenix, and they growl from the trees like, this kind of scary sounding, honestly. They're caiman, you know what I mean? So we really don't mind hopping across the river. It's not a problem, you know. Honestly, the reason that I came here, no BS. I'm not trying to martyr myself here or pat myself on the back, but the God's honest truth is, last year I was deathly ill. Like I could barely get out of bed for most of the better part of a year. Um, it was bad, and we came to house sit here, and we stayed for like 6 months for free. But you know, she needed someone to take care of the property. So I actually felt indebted, and I knew that she was sinking financially because everyone here is. And so when she said she was looking for someone to lease the land, I was like, let me see if I can get enough money together. And you guys did it. A couple people booked retreats. And so I was like, wow, you know, we can help her out and get our lives moving again. My health has started to improve, mostly due to ayahuasca. Um, Long story as to why I didn't do that much sooner. Seems totally counterintuitive, and it is weird. But I was just so sick I couldn't bring myself to do it, even though I knew it would help. Like, sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but that's what happened. I mean, I just could not imagine doing it. And maybe, you know, we could go through all sorts of possibilities, psychological, whatever. But long story short, as soon as I drank ayahuasca 2 or 3 times, I was like 70% of the way back to functional. So, wish I'd done it sooner. But at any rate, that's the story. That's how we ended up here. Because I kind of felt, you know, appreciative. But now that she's, you know, expressed that she thinks my family and I are idiots, and I said something about the septic and whatnot, and she's like, "Well, I'm really just trying to get you guys to shut the fuck up." And it's like, wait, what? About what? About the septic smell that we had to deal with, you know, for a few days, 30 days? I mean, shut the fuck up, really. And then the same day, it was not even an hour later, that she comes down and insists that we exploit the indigenous workers here. Because if we don't, then she can't later. So that was when I was really, I've had it, you know. And so honestly, what I've done to create a buffer, because, you know, poor Austin is here trying to heal, and he said he felt gross for an hour after that interaction. I just said, look, we want no contact. We can deposit our money in your bank, and just don't come anywhere near me or my guests or my family, and we're good, you know. And so we've had to interact with her because there was a toilet problem. She right away, you know, sent a plunger down, and she was really nice and everything, because she knows that she fucked up bad, you know. She's not all the way a terrible person. It's not like that. But um, from where we are, you know, she basically is from some other century or dimension where it's still okay to huasipunga, which is the Quechua. Huasipungo is like a slavery situation, kind of like an indentured servant that they had in the United States. It's sort of that, a different version of it here. Huasipunga. Huasipunga, and I'm just feminizing it. Huasipungo landowner, whatever. Um, yeah. So, you know, seriously, you guys, if you happen to have a bunch of nickels rolling around in your jeans, going nowhere, the best thing that could happen to us is that somebody could give us a large donation so that we could fight. Like, what I'd really like to do is put money in envelopes and just like ride through the neighborhood on a bicycle. They have no windows in their houses, so just load it up with some, you know, the golden dollars, and just throw $200 through the windows of everybody's house. You know, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. You know, I watched the videos of there's a guy that will give $100 bills to like the coconut vendors in Colombia. You know, I get jealous watching this stuff. You know what I mean? Um, I don't. You know, we survive. We will continue to do so. You know, we don't really have any money, but I don't really see the point in hoarding unless everyone has enough. Like, once everyone has enough, then we can all start hoarding a little bit. But I am you, and what I see is me. So I think it's best if I take me by the hand and lead me through the land and try to help me understand the best I can. Um, I mean, also, let's just think of it from a right winger's point of view, right? Um, if you have a pyramid and you want to extend the point of the pyramid up higher, you have to build it up from the bottom. So even if you're a right winger, you should be able to understand that the lower you treat the people on the bottom, the lower your pyramid can go. So if you really think you're such a gangster that you're going to end up at the apex of that pyramid, you cannot have a weak foundation. And you also can't build it up from the middle or from the top. If you want to raise the pyramid, once the structure is already there, you have to raise it from the base. So standing on the backs of, I mean, this woman literally said, we can get away with it with indigenous. We can get away with it with the indigenous. This was last year, and I should have heard that and realized there's an issue. Huasi Pungo. We have a Houston, we have a problem. You know, I don't understand, man, because from my point of view, consciousness, there was one consciousness, it exploded, and now we are all going to experience every single possible perspective from, you know what I mean, before the end of time. Like, one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively. So whatever happens to any other part of it, eventually you're going to live an entire lifetime as that other splinter, you know, and maybe a bunch of different versions of yourself. You know, all we know is that we are trapped in this like one eternal consciousness that is just, you know, it just reconfigures itself to have different experiences, but you're just that one thing having all of those experiences. So, you know, if you think you're getting one over on someone, you just have your own head up your own ass. That's all you're doing. It's not, you cannot do that. You can't get one over on anyone. You can't take advantage of anyone. You can't exploit anyone. And, you know, maybe you're okay with it at the time because then you subconsciously, because we all know these deep truths, um, you're just thinking, well, I'll be in the position of the exploiter at some point, so it's fine. I can handle it. I just, I think we need to do the best that we can for each other. And I am here, if anything, to pay people a fair wage. Definitely not to. Um, I just couldn't believe. Okay, look, I knew that she was paying them $15 a day. It's not that she hadn't told me that, but I assumed it. I was like, well, that kind of sucks. But she insisted that she manage it, and I thought, well, that kind of sucks, but at least it's legal. I had no idea that she was actually paying them below the legal wage, you know? Um, and that I would have fought her if I had known that I could have said, hey, you're not breaking the law to build me a building so that you can keep money off the top. That's not happening. But I didn't think that I had any legal, you know, I just assumed she seems very by the books and stuff. But then I looked it up and it blew my mind. It was like the legal minimum wage here is $425 a month. $15 a day is $75 a week, $300 a month. It's $125 below the monthly minimum wage. Yeah, well, unfortunately, my boys on the hill are all the way in Northern California, and I'm here alone in the jungle. So that option of just going gangster on an old lady is just, I mean, it's not that realistic. But better to just try to get support. You know, you guys book a retreat. That would, if one person paid a deposit on, you know, one of the longer programs like the 6 week or 8 week, we only have one 8 week slot left. Few 6 week. Basically, there's like 1 to 2. We only have 5 rooms, and I'm trying to focus on longer stays. So at any point in our calendar, we have at least one spot open until we're done in November. So you can come at any time, but those last slots are going to fill up. So if you're planning to come, you better make a deposit because otherwise you're going to want to and you're not going to be able to. And if you want to support us, otherwise, one-time donation, whatever, there's PayPal and crypto is going down the drain, but there is a wallet address. PayPal, Zelle options, Cash App we have. The other thing I was going to mention is that if I can raise the money, one of my plans to create jobs here and I want to pay double the illegal minimum wage that apparently all the white people are paying. There aren't that many, but I you know, when there were more of you guys still watching, I should have explained this. But And again, I'm not trying to pat myself on the shoulder or martyr myself, but you have to understand that I will make enemies doing this. Like, not just this lady. People are not going to like it if I start paying the indigenous twice their daily wage, because there are other people exploiting them, and it'll put me in danger. It definitely, like, I'm playing the activist game to an extent that it's dangerous as soon as I start messing with the wages locally. That's definitely true. But I don't care, you know, don't care at all. Um, what I was saying earlier about Ecuador, I told you guys I'm sick, a little bit tired, had some San Pedro this morning, a little loopy. In fact, I just forgot what I was talking about again. Uh, Something about paying people more. I know. Okay, so the jobs. Let's just rewind and get back to that. So a lot of the rivers here, if you walk along the bank, there's plastic jugs, there's all kinds of garbage and trash all over the beaches. So I would love nothing more than to hire a bunch of these Kichwa guys uh, and pay them double their wage, which is still nothing. That's what I was going to say, by the way, that it's not that much cheaper than the United States here. That's one of the things that makes it so much more awful when people exploit people here. It's really not that much cheaper. I mean, it is, but not like you would think. You know what I mean? Like, it still costs me a few $1,000s a month to live comfortably here for sure. And still without a car, with no, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you can just get paid $20 a day and survive. $15 a day? No fucking way. There's no way that's a fair wage for anyone, anywhere. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, John. This is, I know a lot about psychology, and particularly people with narcissistic personality disorder and grandiose narcissism, and there's nothing you can do. She's had ayahuasca, she understands it to a degree that's actually kind of surprising, considering that she did not learn that you can't pay people less than minimum wage just because you can get away with it. And that when you have activists renting your property and one of their investors is sitting there, you probably shouldn't try to get them to exploit indigenous people illegally. Right? Like what I was saying earlier about my reputation. If he didn't know me better and this had just been like a random investor, it would look like I was just completely full of shit and in bed with people that were like exploiting indigenous people. What's going on, man? You know what I mean? Like, how crazy of her was that? I mean, it was incredible in all the wrong ways, that happens. But I'm glad too, because now I'm like even more aware of like why some of the people in town look at us like they do. Most of the Quechua people here are very sweet. They invited us to come, just random people in a canoe today invited me just alone, to go back and stay at their house. An older couple. Why don't you come and sleep at our house tonight, way deep in the jungle? It's like, maybe this weekend I will too. I was like, my wife is expecting me, but maybe we'll do that. Yeah, man. It's amazing here to be able to just take in the canoe ride from our back porch to town every day. I'm like, you can't believe it, and you notice new things. Like, I noticed there were these really large mountains behind the town just like a couple of weeks ago, because it's often very cloudy, especially higher up. There's plenty of sunny days, but um, not great visibility at distance, almost ever, because it's the Amazon. And today I noticed for the first time there are 20,000-foot peaks. That's the backdrop of Miss Hawaii. And I've been here for a year, and I knew there were mountains, but I didn't realize that there were like 20,000-foot volcanoes visible right behind the town. You know, you notice things every day still. And yeah, and I've wanted to see an anaconda for my entire life. And the other day, floating around the lagoon, I discovered there is an anaconda, at least one anaconda living here. Um, it's just really incredible. Uh, Yeah, Micah, of course there are initiatory groups that I would recommend not joining. Pretty much all of them. Almost all of them. The Hermetic Order, the Golden Dawn, Stella Matutina, the Or Morning Star is a legitimate lineage from Mathers and Westcott. But, you know, good luck with that. I'm no longer associated, so I can't bring you in. I might still have Robert's contact info. I could maybe shoot you an email with it or something. Um, but I don't know you in person, you know. Yeah, generally esoteric groups are going to get you into trouble. I mean, it's just not. Um, it's better to let those relationships develop organically. I think would be a good way to put it. Taking initiation, whether it's a solar initiation or from somebody who is legitimately that you know personally and have a good connection with, that's a different story. But just trying to join some weird esoteric group is a good way to get sacrificed or something. I wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Um, but yeah, man, the wildlife interactions lately have been off the chain. Like I never would have thought a wild tapir would walk up to a group of people. Like, watch the video, you guys. Probably think I'm lying, but I'm not. You can tell we're not at a zoo or something. We're just walking around on this island. And this tapir is like, "Hello, what the fuck are you guys?" You know. And the squirrel monkeys, you know, flying around everywhere. The first time I saw them the other day, it was like the second time I'd been on the island, and thank you, Mr. Charles. And I had my son with me, and suddenly there's like 40 squirrel monkeys just hitting the jungle all around us, like whap, 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 because they'll swing in from vines and then slap into leaves. So it's like this sound of like monkeys slapping into leaves everywhere around us, and just incredible, you know. It is funny how you adjust to this stuff because I remember coming here and thinking, wow, I wonder if I'll get to actually hold a monkey, you know. And I thought that was like the most incredible thing. And I'm literally walking around, slapping them off of me, like, damn it, monkey, stop pulling my hair, get off me. I'm not in the mood right now, quit it, you know. Um, I'm not saying you really get used to having a monkey on your head. Or even just seeing them in the street. In fact, if you guys come here for a retreat, you just sit around in the park to just watch the monkeys play with the dogs all day, easily. Like, you know. And then the marmoset monkeys are like 16 different colors. Like, if you see them in the sunlight, you're like, how is that even a monkey? What is that? You know, they're like red, brown, orange, cinnamon, black, white, gray, all just glowing in the sunlight. Fucking monkeys. The first time we saw them, actually, there were two spider monkeys hanging into the troop with all these other marmosets all around them. I've never seen that before in my life. Like two, not even, you know, in a documentary, like two different species of monkey just in the same spot, just hanging out and eating bananas and shit. And so, you know, that's basically the story. It is, yeah, every day of my life is like National Geographic. That is um sure, I'm familiar with the Temple of Set, but that's just LeVay's kids. Um, I wouldn't mess with any of those, especially, you know, I got nothing against the left hand path per se, but messing around with initiatory groups that are left hand path is a surefire way to get yourself in trouble. So don't do it. You know what I mean? Don't do it. There's a certain way that the left hand path can be understood where it can be, you know, JD is an example of that, where it's basically entirely positive, but you know, you just have this kind of dark aesthetic and a certain philosophy, but there's no harming other people involved. But for the most part, it's it's exactly what it looks like. So no, left hand path initiatory body is probably not the best idea. Uh, yeah, from the light of the darkness, that's the channel, you guys. Um, Mr. Charles, click on his channel. Uh, And we have a lot of differences in our interpretation of magic and whatnot. Very, very different styles and approaches, but that's what you guys need to look at. People that have different takes on things. Otherwise, what are you just? You're just. Are you researching, or is it just confirmation bias? You know what I mean? And the interesting thing is that JD and I don't necessarily agree about everything, but we don't really conflict about anything either. And that's what happens when you are coming from a place of sovereign will, but you sort of have a boundary where other people are not being harmed and helped if you can without detriment to yourself. If you're operating within those guidelines, then you're doing fine, no matter what you want to call it. There are Satanists that think like that. There are Luciferians that think like that, and there are Christians that will cut your scrotum off and make a hat out of it just for fun. You know what I mean? So you can't do that. But your rights and ability to derive pleasure stop where other people's are infringed. That's it. That's all it is. Better if you can be cool and help people too. Definitely not exploiting them for less than a minimum wage and insisting that other people do too. I remember last year, some of you guys were there, actually. I know Mr. Charles was. See, look, this guy, I don't know if he identifies as Luciferian or Satanist or both, but he's sincere. He means the stuff that he's saying here. You can tell, he's totally all about being positive. More than me, really. I mean, he definitely has a cheerier disposition than I do, and I'm less committed to that aspect of things. So that's something to think about, He's definitely more upbeat than I am, and way more Luciferian or satanic or both or whatever it is, He knows what I mean. So, but anyways, what happened last year is that I was doing a live stream from our other property where we were living in Miss Hawaii, and there was somebody whose YouTube name was Huasi Pungero. Yeah, I figured Luciferian. I thought so. I mean, that's, if I had to pick something, I would probably have that label as well, but I just I don't worship anything. I don't, but I'm all about individuality and the sovereignty of the will and light and all of that. And, so anyways, we were at the other property in Miss Hawaii, and, I mean, why would you define yourself according to a prefabricated doctrine from anyone? From anyone. I don't care who wrote it. But we were living at the other property, and this guy whose handle was Huasi Pungero, which Huasi Punga is this like Kichwa slavery situation, right? And so Pungero is like ayahuasquero is like someone who rides ayahuasca, right? Or like Huacumera is someone that takes ayahuasca. You're riding on ayahuasca, or Huachuma or whatever, So ayahuasquero, Huachumero, Huasi Pungero. So he's basically saying I'm a slave. And he was just in the chats like, go home, gringo, like, what are you doing here, paleface, and all this stuff for, several live streams in a row. And I think to this day that he doesn't know that I know who he is. I see him in town all the time, and he's nice to me. But if I watch as he's walking away, he doesn't think I'm looking anymore. I can see his eyes change. You know what I mean? And yeah, he's the only Kichwa person that speaks fluent English here. So I don't know how he would not realize that I would know it was him. Like, come on, man, really? And anyways, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to fight these fucking Huasi Pungo foreigners that are trying to exploit everyone here. So I don't know why you're coming after me. Yeah, that's the best from the light of the darkness. That's what I wasn't trying to be offensive the other day when you mentioned something in your chat about, Satanism or something. And I was like, if you label yourself a Satanist, you're still a sheep. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what doctrine you're following. Like somebody in the comments today was arguing with me about something about the left-hand path and how if you follow that, and it's like, why are you following anything? If you really understood the left-hand path, you would not be following the doctrine at all. You know what I mean? That's not how this works. You're supposed to find the truth and then live in accordance with it. You don't find someone else's truth or prefabricated conception and then try to live in accordance with it. That's why religion doesn't work, because people just find this set of rules. They try to compel themselves to act in accordance with it. It's not how it works. Spiritual development informs your behavior. That is spirituality, and that actually works, right? If you have gnosis, if you have this organic experience, no matter how it's catalyzed, that dictates how you conduct yourself, that's spirituality. Religion is just trying to be something you're not and failing, most assuredly. Yeah, Micah, I was really surprised one time, and I don't know, when you talk about Luciferianism or Satanism or Christianity or Buddhism or whatever, what do you even mean? Because there are so many variations on all of these ideas that it doesn't even mean anything. Like you have this label, and it just means whatever the person looking at the label thinks it means. It does, you know what I mean? That's all you're doing is giving people. When you put a label on yourself, you're just giving other people ideas based on what they think that label means. It hasn't. So what do you mean doesn't Luciferianism? Whose idea? Whose conception of it? There are Luciferians that are theistic, that actually believe that Lucifer is a being that they worship, and there are Luciferians that believe that there are no such thing as spirits, and they're just rebelling against Christianity and the establishment and being a sheep. And then there are, people that are Luciferian that believe that Lucifer is just allegory for the sun and light bearer is what it means. And you know what I mean? So what do you mean? Whose aversion? Well, see, that's the weird thing from the light of the darkness. You say that Luciferian to you means the shadow side, but why does it mean light bearer? And you're talking about the shadow side of a god that ordered Job or ordered Satan to torture Job to prove his, like, I don't think it is the shadow side. I think that it's the light side of the shadow that was mistaken for light. It was a false light, if anything, it was the what is that? What does Satan mean in adversary in Hebrew? It was the adversary that was against Jehovah that was good, if you ask me. I mean, yeah, well, that's the thing. Two sides of the same coin. And in my conception of God, right, I don't really believe in God, but I think there's a consciousness that is transtemporal and is a unity, despite its multiplicity, I guess. Um, but it's a consciousness that's experiencing everything from every possible point of view that it can create. And so there's no dichotomy. There's no God and Satan. There's no Lucifer and Christ. There are just compartmentalizations that make it easier for us to talk about aspects and archetypes that have emanated from this one consciousness. That's all those labels mean to me. They're not real things to me. Yeah, well, it looks like, from the light of the darkness is saying the same thing that I am, but he's just using different language. Um, you know. So that's the thing, you guys, about labels. Why bother? So you're just gonna reinforce people's ideas. You reinforce their ideas. It doesn't serve any purpose for me to have a label, really. Um, by the way, you guys, I just want to ask one more time to remind you, we've kind of just strayed off onto this tangent about other stuff, which is cool. But I am serious about not really wanting to pay rent here anymore and giving our business to someone who's not an exploiter. That's important to me. and we need support in order to do that. So if you have been considering coming and you've been on the fence, it would be a great time to pay your deposit. If you're absolutely positive that you're coming and you've paid a deposit but you haven't paid in full, you could do that. Or you can make a one-time donation to any of the things in our description, PayPal, Zelle, Cash App. And honestly, if I can really start getting ahead, I will throw envelopes with money in them through the windows of these houses. They don't have windows, so it's not hard. Just throw it in the hole in the house. I don't know how they do it, man, because we don't, like, when I've talked about the retreat, I mentioned that there aren't as many bugs as you'd expect. That doesn't mean that there aren't bugs. I mean, there are bugs that look like they could carry you away. Yeah, man, that would be groovy. Um, Anything I can do at this point, just because I just need ammunition. You know what I mean? I have to be in a position to where if something isn't right, I can just fix it, and I'm not trying to play with people. You know what I mean? I've got too much positive stuff that I'm trying to make happen, and I don't need any unnecessary static. Not that anyone does, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to work for the collective here, and I'm making progress. I need to keep making progress. Wheels are turning. Um, get in my way, you're gonna get obliterated. You know what I mean? Like, that's for sure. But money is unfortunately the difficult part of that equation. You unfortunately, in this universe, no matter how magically powerful you become, no matter how great of a shaman or Luciferian magician or Illuminati or whatever, Illuminatus, whatever it is that you are, um, that is the energy that allows you to. That's what power is in this world. You know what I mean? And I've said forever since I was a teenager that so long as we have spiritual people that think that money is no good and they don't want it, or we have powerful people that think that spirituality is no good and they don't want it, we have a serious problem. Gang, gang. We have a serious problem because, the rules are dictated, some of them to us and not by us. And so one of those is that money is power. And if we want spirit to be making decisions, then we need to give people that are going to make decisions that are congruent with what spirit wants, which is anything and everything, good, bad, and ugly. So that's not the best analogy if you want to be really real about it. But you know what I mean. People that are doing good stuff, empower them. Because that they can't do much for you. I can't do anything for you unless you empower me to do so. So, and I can't help the people here unless I have money. That's all there is to it. And this idea that I had about creating, maybe I need to make it an official organization. I know I need a website, you guys. I've been trying to keep this casual, but I realize now that it's a serious thing, and I need to make some concessions to becoming a normal person to some extent. Right? I managed to be a woolly outlaw for 43 years. In a couple days, I'm turning 43. A great time to send birthday support. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a website. I needed to wait till we had some content and stuff and a review from someone, you know. Um, and we have that, within a few days of being here, he's like, my expectations are already well exceeded. Um, so, and wait till you guys see the video. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like you don't, you think you go to the Amazon and see some animals. You don't expect to be covered in monkeys and riding around in tapirs. Not that it went that far, but you know what I mean? Nice, man. Yeah, I know it can be done. Like I said, I'm ready this week. We're gonna do it. One of the reasons I was hesitant is that we only have so many rooms here, and I'm trying to do longer programs. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna do a website for the other 5 people. You know what I mean? Can't you guys just sign up for 5 more, programs, and then I don't have to do any of this stuff? But it's just like anything else, once you start rolling, you realize there are more expenses than you thought. Your landowner turns out to be a lunatic and pilfers some of your money or whatever. It's it's just how it goes. Thank you for the birthday wishes, for sure. So like I said, you guys, I'm super tired. I'm literally sick. San Pedro for breakfast, I thought would help, and it kind of did. I'm probably in a better mood for it, but it didn't like make me miraculously not sick anymore or something. But yeah, I was saying, like I really, of course, it's all going to work out perfectly, but the sooner I know that everything is secure, the better you know what I mean? Like, I need to sleep well at night so I have the energy for Austin and the other people that come. And you know what I mean? Like, it'd be good to just know with absolute certainty that I have the power to do what needs to happen no matter what. You know what I mean? I'm not quite there yet. We're like right on the edge, right on the edge, We have upgraded our camera. I haven't started using it yet because the internet's not great here and my laptop gets booted off all the time. But point being, if I wanted to, I can have a Sony camera instead of this phone. I have a real microphone now. Like, we are upgrading everything, and it's amazing. And it's because of your support, by the way. I don't have my laptop, so I can't look at the name, but I want to thank our 5 new patrons this month, 5 so far. And there's something to consider, you guys. I've been demonetized, but Elon Musk has told us that shadow bans are a real thing, right? He owns Twitter, he would know. And so because I'm demonetized, the algorithm doesn't just not push my content, it actually suppresses it a little bit. Like, obviously it doesn't bury it completely because none of you guys will be able to find it. But you know what I mean? You're not only not prioritized, but you're just kind of like ignored. Right on, man. I appreciate you so much. But I'm still managing to grow faster than ever on this channel. It's relatively slow in a way, but I think we had 300 subscribers in the last 28 days, which is more than any other 28-day period I think we've ever had. So even with being buried by the algorithm and ignored and demonetized, still managing to outpace what a lot of other amateur YouTubers are doing with better cameras, better editing, better mics. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of really embarrassing thumbnails from back in the day that I never fixed. You know what I mean? And I'm still able to overcome the fact that the algorithm ignores me. And so that's amazing and encouraging, because I'm realizing now that I can probably get on Fiverr, hire some people to just fix the things that are not right, and we could probably blow up. Also, you guys, I've managed to, so some of you guys that are watching have booked retreats with us. We had no website, we have no reviews, we have nothing. And 4 or 5 people have signed up for retreats and sent money. So you know what I mean? Like, without a website or anything, it's like I know if I've been able to do that with just an email, we're good. We're good. You know what I mean? We're good. So that's amazing that you guys have given me that confidence to see that I can do this, and it's going to work. And I've earned it. I mean, I spent my entire life going through hell, first of all, but also studying psychology and studying psychedelics and plant medicine, and mostly, though, just going through hell with a mentally ill mother and drug addiction from my own health struggles. I ended up addicted to opioids physically for a long time. So that's how it's done. That's how it's supposed to be done. You have to break down in order to build yourself back up. And as Terrence McKenna said, the shaman is a madman who has made himself sane again. And that's important because you have to know how to do it yourself with no help in order to do it for other people. And then when you bring the plants in, I'm not saying that the plants actually have their own intelligence. I'm not convinced of anything, except that there is an intelligence involved that seems to not be of us. But whether that means the compounds in the plants are opening our minds up to body consciousness or a universal consciousness or whatever, or plant spirits, I'm not sure what the actual explanation is, but I am sure that they know how to do things as well. So a real facilitator or shaman with their any level of skill, really, as long as you know how to take care of people and stay out of the way, that would be enough. That would be enough for these plants to do what they do. It's an added bonus if you have someone that has a background in the indigenous traditional shamanic medicine, and also a background in psychology and neuroscience and all of these things that, I don't have academic training, but I certainly have decades of burying my nose in books, and more recently, keeping abreast on the internet. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I paid my dues, so I guess it makes sense to be here. Doesn't make it any less surprising, though, in a way. The kind of things that, I don't want to repeat any of it because it's just awkward. But the kind of things that people have said to me so far, it's extraordinary to hear that kind of stuff. The kind of confirmations coming from people, and to just know that I have the power to rebuild people that have been demolished. You know what I mean? I've done that successfully many, many times now, and it's an incredible thing. To have the confidence that I can do that for people. And then the setting that I'm doing it in, there's people while they're being healed, they have monkeys crawling all over them and wild tapirs coming out of the jungle to be petted, and caimans swimming alongside the boat. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like my day-to-day existence, my health still isn't perfect. It's a struggle, but it's still incredible. Every day when I wake up, I know there's a very good, very high probability that something mind-blowing is going to happen. Whether it's a new species of monkey, you never know what the little indigenous kids are going to pop up with. They find baby monkeys of all kinds. If I knew we were going to be here longer, honestly, I'm considering going to get one. And I'm not talking about participating in the pet trade. There are some Warani children that have found a baby monkey. I hear they're not really paying much attention to it. So I think I would be within my rights to buy it for $20 and take better care of it. Maybe even with the intention of releasing it, or it could just live outside around the house. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think in order to save it, it's going to become dependent on people to some extent. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to figure out, like, legally if I could get in trouble trying to help the monkey, or what's up with that. But you know what I mean? Stuff like that pops up all the time too, which is super cool. I would love to have a little baby monkey hanging around for the duration of the retreats until November. I've been talking for an hour though, and I have a guest, and I think we're going to play some guitar. Because that's his thing, and it's my thing too. Yes, you can send Bitcoin to that address. I've received Bitcoin to that address. You certainly can send it. It's Trust Wallet. It'll take it. Oh, and by the way, you guys, I see we have a lot of likes tonight, and that's good, because this is an important thing. I mean, I'm on the ground here, putting myself potentially even in harm's way, certainly at odds with people, in the interest of others. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to earn the support that I'm getting. It doesn't get any realer than that. I mean, I see people on what is it, Twitch or something, where people are donation for playing video games. A real $1 million tip. $1 million. I don't know that that's justified, but certainly sending us a little bit of Zelle or Cash App or something for trying to fight for human rights down here seems reasonable. Maybe I'm crazy, and there's something I don't understand about the world, but yeah, the crypto crash, it's over, you guys. I think, at least for a good while. But I think so is the world. My dad told me last night that the deforestation in Ecuador, all markets except oil, of course. Yeah, I wonder why that is. How does that happen? The deforestation in Ecuador not in Ecuador, in the Amazon period has increased 50% in the last year. It was already slated to be extinct, the whole thing gone. Like what David Attenborough said is it will be like the Sahara Desert in the Amazon in the 2030s. So they've accelerated that process by 50% in the last 12 months. So you guys come see me in Miss Hawaii because this is like, it's crazy. First of all, we have uncontacted and barely contacted indigenous people here. That's how wild it is. Like I'm the last thing, like literally our house is like the last thing before you're just in the Amazon forever. Like until Brazil. There's nothing else. Nothing out there. There are uncontacted Waranis that will kill you on sight if you go too far out into the jungle, only 30 minutes downriver from where I'm sitting right now. True story. There are also Warani people that come to the village carrying spears and stuff that saw a toilet for the first time 10 years ago. All the monkeys are here. You know, like a lot of the places around the cities, like Malaquiza and, a lot of places in the Amazon, a lot of the monkey species were hunted out because, the indigenous moved a lot. So this whole thing of sitting still and killing everything is sort of new. It used to be that the monkeys would move and the people would move because everyone was moving. So it's not necessarily that the indigenous people ate all the monkeys, but the monkeys know that they will eat them, and so they move further out into the jungle. Here, for whatever reason, that didn't really happen. So we still have monkeys right around town, like literally in town. Even the Capuchin troop. We still have the anacondas in the river, caiman, and you know what I mean. Like without having to go 1,000 miles out into the jungle, we basically have intact primary rainforest all around us. And we're right next to Yasuni, which is the greatest biodiversity in the world. So we've got to be close to that level of biodiversity. So anyways, good night. I'm very sick. I'm realizing I'm not happy about that because we're supposed to go drink with, speaking of indigenous Kichwa people, the renowned Mama Celia, who is a Kichwa. But that's, by the way, the retreats are not just me. You also drink with indigenous people. Like Mama Celia, who's a rare for Kichwa female. She's shamana, and so yeah. I'll check the wallet address and make sure, but yeah, that's odd. But I appreciate you trying. You're a patron, right? You can send me a message on. I'll send you. What do you mean? Sorry to bother. I'll send you a proper Bitcoin address on Patreon, and we really do appreciate it, man. Because like I said, we have to fight now because I want to, not because we have to. I want to fight, and I don't have the resources. So we do need your support if we're gonna. And the other thing is, like, I've considered the possibility that we should take legal action and make an example of this person, which I don't know how I feel about that, but I do know that the local people are not going to speak if I can't offer them an alternative employment. So I have to be able to pay people if they're even going to be willing to tell their story. You know what I mean? Like, so this idea that I have about somehow getting some kind of organization or a little group together, nonprofit, to employ the local indigenous people to clean up the rivers at twice their normal wage. That's, you know what I mean? That's my, because they can't say no to these people as it is. They can't. And, if I approach them and say, hey, we need you to talk, they're going to say no unless you have a job for me. So Um, I just need money basically to so that I can stand there all day, 3 or 4 days a week, or hire someone else to supervise, make sure they're actually doing stuff, and pay them $30 a day to clean up the rivers instead of 15. And there are a lot of people that are going to hate me for it because they want to be able to continue to exploit the people here. I mean, I'd love to pay them $50 a day. Honestly, I think that in Ecuador, a minimum daily wage should be at least, I would say, $40, not $15. And that's, like I said, it's not even legal. What she was trying to insist that we pay the people here is $125 a month below the already unlivable $425 a month minimum wage. It's already unlivable. So more than 25% below the already unlivable minimum wage is what the foreigners expect the local indigenous. Okay, I'll explain it again. MF Yoder, I mean, this is 70 minutes deep. We've been talking about everything from top ears to howler monkeys and Luciferianism for the last, but basically, I had the landowner here just like casually called me and my family idiots the other day, which led to a little bit of tension. And so I was trying to get around her to pay the employees and work. It's all good, man. I'm not trying to give you shit. I'm just saying I'll explain it again. But not the whole story is what I was trying to say. Just not the whole story. So I was trying to get around her so that I could work with the employees myself. And she realized that I would probably pay them more than she does. And so in us, partly motivated knowing that part of our mission is to alleviate the exploitation of the indigenous here, she says, you guys cannot pay them more than $15 a day because if you do, they'll expect it. And so I checked, and it turns out that the minimum wage is $20 a day. So this infamous practice of paying indigenous people less than the already insane minimum wage is still like normal. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I'm not saying this person is like particularly sinister by normie standards, right? Like, this is just what they think. They think they're just entitled to just exploit people because they're from the United States or Canada or Europe. And no, it's not about being white, because there are plenty of black people that are from those countries that would also do this. You know what I mean? It's more like nationalism than really a race thing. But you see what I'm saying? Like they and she was trying to get me to employ her for $20 a day, right? Not $15 a day. So what's that about? Like, but so that's basically what happened. She tried to insist that we would illegally pay them less than the minimum wage. And so my mission with this live stream was basically to try to, it's a white person. We have just invested a bunch of money building a building that I have just discovered was basically built by Huasipungo slaves. And I'm not happy about it. So I have the unexpected expense of having to round them all up, figure out who worked, make sure everyone's telling the truth, and pay them to at least bring it up to the minimum wage, because I'm fucking pissed that I thought that they were at least being paid the legal minimum wage. And so, yeah. So, point being, we've invested all this money here and we're buried, and now I'm finding this out, so I want to do that. And then I also would like to be able to move the entire retreat, because I don't want to support someone that doesn't have their values aligned with mine. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I want the people that support me do it for, ethical or philosophical reasons. And so I try to do the same thing. Everyone in my orbit should be acting in a way that's consistent with my values. Otherwise, I'm taking them out of orbit completely if I can. With gats that blow the wall out, I'll clear them all out like atomic fallout. But at least out of my orbit. Like if I can't take them out of orbit entirely, at least out of my orbit. But that'll cost us thousands of dollars. So that's the fundraising aspect of this live stream is about that. Like I don't want to. There's no problem here. If you've signed up for a retreat or you're thinking about signing up for a retreat, nothing about this situation affects that. It's just that I don't want to continue to pay someone's bills that has that kind of ethics, I guess. It's just not what I do. It blew my mind to have her telling, Austin and I this when we're like literally here to like help bring money into the community, and like you guys cannot pay them a livable wage because then I'll have to. Yeah. Yep. It's too bad the anacondas aren't a little bigger around here because I'll just go ahead and bite my forked tongue. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your support. All of you that have supported already and that have come or are coming to the retreat or wish you could and can't. We love all of you to pieces. And, really, you guys remember. Yeah, John, that's the thing. We have lots of options. There's all kinds of beautiful properties all around us. That's why I'm telling people, I want to be transparent and let you guys know about the situation. But if you're already planning to come, or if you've already signed up, it just does not affect our retreat because we can go across the river, rent an even more beautiful property, and it just makes no difference. The only difference is that I'm going to lose thousands of dollars. So that's what I'm trying to, you know what I mean? We didn't really want to break even on this thing. It would have been nice. I've been sick and we've been struggling financially for years. And so having to move right now will put us either in the hole or we'll be lucky to break even after it's all said and done. But I'm willing to do that to us if it means that I don't support someone who is willing to exploit other people. The indigenous here. I don't care if I have to make no money this year so that we don't give her money. I'm willing to do that, but it would be a lot better if that's not how it was. I would rather that we came out ahead. That is true. I guess I'm just a greedy capitalist, but it would be nice not to lose money this year, trying to heal people and fight exploitation. Call me crazy, but yeah, so I don't know. I mean, in order to just move, because I have to rent the whole property. You know what I mean? Like I have to have a bunch of rooms and a building where we can have ceremony. So I don't know, $5,000 or $7,500 or something would allow us to comfortably transition and build another building. There's the possibility that we won't need to build a building if we rent another place, but if we have to. And then there's also the possibility, because we did sign a lease, I don't think that she's going to come after us for breaking the lease because there was a septic issue here that stopped us from taking deposits or doing business for 30 days. And you can see the difference in our income. We have a paper trail for that. So, yeah, you guys, that's, if you don't have money to support, definitely just put this out there, tell the story. I am not a Redditor, man. I know nothing about it. But that's another thing we need because we are demonetized. The algorithm ignores my channel. It buries it shadow banned, right? So, even just helping us get this material out there, the algorithm ignores us. I have way higher like to view ratio than normal, right? But so my channel should be growing exponentially. That's how you can tell that the algorithm has stopped. Because you look at the number of views versus the number of likes, the number of hours people watch. My subscribers were 300 in the last month. With all those numbers, right, you should see exponential growth. because it's being pushed by the algorithm. But when you talk about things that YouTube doesn't like, they demonetize. You're not advertising for them, right? They bury your content. So my content is buried. The fact that it does so well, even though the algorithm is not pushing it, is incredible. And it's because of people taking the time to share their video, to share my videos, and to, tell their friends. This is all grassroots. All this growth in this channel, this is not the algorithm. This is just from people sharing. It just is the strength of the content, and that is awesome. In a way, it's better. But now that I'm realizing that I'm in a position to become like a social justice warrior to some extent, and that I'm really having a potent ability to help people heal traumas, I really feel obligated to be able to push harder, and I need to be stronger. I need more financial power. So that is what the situation has taught me. That there's not a lot of like highly intelligent people with good intentions that are on the front line down here. There's not enough. And if I'm one of them, then I'm obligated to use all that to do something. That's why I'm here. It's crazy that she knew that and still was trying to tell us that we had to pay the people below minimum wage. I'm still just dying that actually happened, in front of not just a guest, but somebody that was investing, making me look like I could be totally full of shit. You know what I mean? It was incredible. Like, I feel for the woman because clearly she's not right. You know what I mean? Like, no sane person would have done that. It's a miracle that we came here and we're willing to rent this place. So to actually call me and my family idiots and then try to get us to exploit the indigenous, like, she is shooting herself in the foot so hard. This is so bad. It's sad. It really is. But I have more empathy for the exploited workers. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And it's actually more common down here than you would want to believe. I once paid. I once paid a bill at a restaurant, and I was going to leave like 30% tip or something, because the bill's already stupid small, and the person had done really well, and the elderly German man was like, "Don't do that. They'll start to expect it, and then we'll have to pay them all." Like, oh, I see. So if they realize it's possible to get paid enough to live, they might actually want to survive, and then you can't exploit them anymore. You don't like that, even though the difference is just like 5% more on your bill that you easily can afford. Like, I don't understand. I just do not understand. If I have more than I need, I'm happy to give it away. I don't get it. I really, genuinely, honestly cannot begin to conceive of being able to go to sleep at night knowing that I think, like, you know what I mean? Like, I would feel like a pathetic, awful person if I was really that concerned about not giving somebody in extreme poverty an extra 10% on the $10 bill or something that makes no difference to me, but it make their entire day. Like our guest now said, you could exploit the hell out of these people by our standards and still make their day. And it's just incredible that someone actually tried to insist that we pay them below the Ecuador minimum wage for their labor, because it will fuck them up if they get used to getting paid what they're legally supposed to get paid at minimum. That actually was said to me 48 hours ago or whatever. 72 maybe now. Like, what was she thinking, that we wouldn't be like, so how about those Lakers? I mean, what the fuck? What is that? So anyways, 84 minutes, you guys. I gotta go. Love you all. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, send us millions of dollars on PayPal and Zelle. And even though Bitcoin is tanking, we have a wallet address that you can send that to as well. Although I hear it's not taking Bitcoin, I got to get off here and figure out why that is. So good night. And